The town of Yukon, Pennsylvania, is 40 minutes southeast of Pittsburgh. Once a prosperous mining town, Yukon covers just 1 square mile and has less than 650 residents. You'd never guess this quiet place was the site of a decades-long battle between a community and a hazardous waste landfill. Max Environmental's Yukon facility is permitted to accept and treat hazardous and toxic materials from construction, manufacturing, oil and gas production, and more, all literally in people's backyards. And since it opened as mill service in 1963, the landfill has built a long history of permit violations, failed site inspections, and consent orders from regulators. The mill service, the site that would later become Max Environmental, stored toxic waste from the steelmaking industry. The waste was kept in open pits over abandoned mine tunnels, which contaminated the water and air in Yukon. By the mid-1970s, residents reported high cancer rates, breathing problems, and sick livestock.
All of us had these urinary infections and bloody urine. The kids had nosebleeds all the time, the wheezing and all of that. And it just couldn't figure out what was going on.
People were getting worried, and they started connecting the dots. Finally, at a town meeting in 1985, the Yukon community formed CRY, the Concerned Residents of the Youghiogheny, named so because the landfill's untreated waste eventually drains into the Youghiogheny River. CRY wanted to close mill services site and clean it up. They advocated for waste management reforms through public awareness campaigns, health surveys, litigation, and grassroots outreach.
We had 500 people coming to meetings, but if we had a big event where the DER or the health department or anybody came to town, it was standing room only in that fire hall. But we pressured everybody that we could. We went to the owner, Larry Spencer's home. We took a coffin. We used to take that coffin everywhere. And we wanted to make it personal because we figured, they have to know what they're doing to us.
But CRY couldn't keep up the effort. They were physically sick, mentally exhausted, and out of legal funding. After a failed lawsuit against mill service, the group eventually disbanded.
We had done sweeper bag tests in the homes that were full of heavy metals. We tested wells that were contaminated. We did VOC monitoring in our homes. It was all dismissed. The DEP said it couldn't have been from Max. It had to be from something that we were doing.
Max kept polluting. Between 2002 and 2012, the Pennsylvania DEP documented over 105 violations at Max, including improper hazardous waste handling, illegal dumping, and leaking containment systems. After a long site inspection, the EPA issued 2 consent orders in April and September 2024, citing inadequate monitoring, insufficient staff training, and improper waste treatment. When the landfill announced plans to expand in 2017, Mountain Watershed Association, an environmental nonprofit that protects the Youghiogheny River watershed, stepped in to support the people in Yukon.
We started meeting every single month in Yukon at the fire hall. There were definitely times where that room was filled with hope, and there are also a lot of times where it was filled with despair.
With the community newly energized, Max dropped the expansion plan. Mountain Watershed keeps up monthly community meetings, monitors air and water quality, and supports residents at public hearings and press conferences. When community members see the outfall pipe flowing into Youghiogheny Creek, Mountain Watershed staff collects water samples for analysis. The group even worked with Youghiogheny Township to install signs at that outfall pipe, warning people about hazardous pollution entering the creek.
Through consistent and ongoing and honest advocacy, we've continued to show up. It's all a thread that builds and knits, weaves like a greater fabric to real opportunity for justice to those people.